Well, good evening again, and welcome to the 2014 GW Engineering Hall of Fame Induction and Awards Ceremony. I'm David Darling. I'm Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Science here at GW, and I'm delighted that each and every one of you could join us tonight in this, really, what can we call it, except a magnificent venue. It's a fitting one, I think, for an event that celebrates the achievements of leaders in engineering and technology. I think many of you know I'm an aerospace engineer. To me, this is like my ideal living room. I could live here. Our formal induction celebration will be after dinner, but in the meantime, I'd like to kick off the evening by introducing our guest speaker and by recognizing a few of our guests who are great friends of C's and who have shown a commitment to the school and its ongoing transformation. If you happen to be seated at a table with one of them this evening, please don't be shy about asking them about the school, about the changes they've seen, and where the school's going. So when I call your name, could you please stand up so others can see you? So first, GW Board of Trustees member and C's National Advisory Council member, Dr. David Karlgaard. Thank you, David. And members of the C's National Advisory Council who are here tonight, Don Dinger, Randy Graves, Mark Hughes, Sasana Gazelle-Kimiavi, and Howard Tischler. Thank you. And if I have actually missed any members of the Board of Trustees or the C's Advisory Council who are here, my sincere apologies, it does happen. Would you please stand now and accept my apologies? Just by the way, for the Advisory Council members, our meeting tomorrow does start at 7:30. Yeah, I'm sorry, 7:30. I'd like also right now to recognize and thank our generous sponsors of this year's Hall of Fame ceremony. They are Hughes Communications, the Lockheed Martin Corporation, and the Washington Society of Engineers. So thank you, sponsors. I'd like to introduce now our guest speaker, Dr. Terry Collins. Terry studied electrical engineering at C's, earning his Doctor of Science degree in 1976. He went on to build a very successful career in communications and signal processing, working first for the Naval Research Lab and then with Engineering Research Associates, a company that he helped take from its founding through its acquisition by Raytheon E-Systems. He and two business partners subsequently founded Argonne Engineering Associates after Terry received a call from Program Office at DoD asking him to help with, and I quote, a high priority program of national importance. That, by the way, should give you some idea of how well regarded Terry is in the community. Terry is now retired after building his company into a very successful operation that he and his partners sold a few years back to Boeing. Despite the demands on his time, Terry maintained his connections to C's and to GW over the course of his career, serving as a longtime member of the school's National Advisory Council, and more recently, as a GW trustee. Terry also is a member of the Engineering Hall of Fame. He was inducted in 2010. Earlier this year, Terry and his wife Alison made a gift to C's, and it's what I call a truly transformative gift. Their gift is to endow a professorship in biomedical engineering or related discipline and to support student scholarships. This is the type of gift that truly helps make our transformation possible. And I'd like to allow Terry to come forward and say a few more words about that. So please, Terry, if you'll come up. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm pleased to be here tonight and to welcome the 2014 GW Engineering Hall of Fame ceremony. I'm pleased to be the first to offer congratulations to the inductees for the George Washington University Engineering Hall of Fame, and to thank our distinguished industry partner, Clark Construction Group, for their support. As most of you know, this summer, George Washington University publicly kicked off a fundraising campaign under the theme of Making History. The campaign will highlight some of the university's strengths, and they will build on those strengths, and they are asking us, the alumni and friends of the university, to help provide support to the university. When Dean Dowling asked me to speak to you this evening about my connection with SEAS and the gift Alice Ann and I decided to give to the school, I agreed. Because I believe that gifts to SEAS can be much more effective when they're supported by many other gifts. And I would like to take a moment to tell you why we made the gifts to SEAS and ask you to consider doing the same. When we decided to make a gift to SEAS to endow a professorship and to support scholarships for students, we were motivated by two things. First, the current momentum in SEAS and the need for science and engineering leadership in the nation's capital. The second is the desire to give promising students a chance to go to college. George Washington has made substantial investments in SEAS over the last several years with new facilities, quality faculty hires, and greater emphasis on research and development. Alice Ann and I wanted to contribute to this momentum by creating an endowed professorship. We all know that deep knowledge of science and engineering are critical to solving many current and future problems. Endowed professorships will accelerate the strength of our faculty and their research. We want our faculty to contribute to important breakthroughs and to help our government identify key issues. We also want the next generation of promising engineers and computer scientists to have financial resources to attend GW. We need their talent and creativity to help solve even more difficult problems and rising populations such as rising populations and global warming. We need more talent and better solutions. We want our students to make a difference. Helping promising students afford a college education is particularly important to me. I was the first person in my family to go to college, and I received a scholarship. I know from firsthand experience how that chance to go to college opened my vision and changed my future. I know my life would have been much different without that scholarship, and I would not be standing here today. SEAS has a saying that Dean Dowling often uses, be a part of it. I think that captures what we mean when we talk about joining SEAS and contributing to its success. Alice Ann and I see this as a start of greatness if our many alumni and friends continue to support SEAS as we are doing. So please join us and be part of it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Terry. Are you available to come to more events? I'll be calling. We're very, very grateful to Alice Ann and Terry for this wonderful $2.5 million gift to the school, one of the largest in SEAS history. And on behalf of all of us in the school, I want to thank you from my heart. Thank you, Terry and Alice Ann. Well, I'm sure everybody is pretty hungry by now, and I don't want to hold up dinner any longer. So please enjoy the company of those at your table, and I'll return to the podium after dinner. Thank you. The Hall of Fame in the School of Engineering and Applied Science recognizes and honors distinguished SEAS alums, faculty, friends, who have contributed to engineering technology, management, or public service in a sustained and significant way throughout their careers. They're individuals who bring distinction to GW through their achievements and their contributions to their profession, to the university, and society at large. Our Hall of Fame started in 2006, and it now has 47 members, and tonight we will add 6 new members. To put these numbers in perspective, the school has about 22,000 living alumni. So we're talking of 50 people out of 22,000. Before I say more about the Hall of Fame members, though, I want to thank those of you who nominated somebody to the Hall of Fame. Without your efforts, we wouldn't have a Hall of Fame to celebrate. We're limited, unfortunately, in the number of people we can induct each year, and this means not selecting many of the nominees. But I think you'll soon see the strength of the pool we draw from. And although this makes for some very, very tough decisions each year at Hall of Fame time, having a very, very deep bench of talented alumni is and I put this in quotes, a problem I'm very happy to have, as I think you will agree. As we begin our ceremony, I'll present our honorees to you one at a time. I'm going to invite each person to come forward and then ask him or her to stand with me on the stage while I make some remarks about them. In the time available, I can't really do much more than touch on the depth and breadth of their accomplishments, but even so, I'm very confident you'll get a sense of their very impressive achievements. So with that said, let me invite Dr. Jennifer Byrne to come forward, please. Dr. Byrne joined Lockheed Martin in 1993, and since then has steadily progressed through a series of positions of increasing responsibility with the corporation. In her current position as Vice President, Engineering and Technology for Aeronautics for Lockheed Martin, Dr. Byrne is responsible for leading the corporation's design, development, operation, and sustainment of the F-35, the F-22, the F-16, the C-130, U-2, P-3, S-3, C-5, and other aircraft. To an aerospace person like me and Jennifer, all those numbers really mean whoosh, whoosh, amazing things, but maybe they're not quite known to many of you, but that's a huge fleet of different aircraft types. Prior to that, Dr. Byrne served as Vice President of Programs, Products, and Solutions for Lockheed Martin's Integrated Systems and Global Solutions defense business, and was responsible for 10,000 engineers developing information technology solutions for DoD. Prior to that, she served as Corporate Vice President, Technology, and was charged with positioning Lockheed Martin as a differentiated leader in mission-critical technology-driven programs. Dr. Byrne's work is widely acknowledged in the aerospace industry, and she is sought out as an advisor. She is a Lockheed Martin Fellow Emeritus for her work in multiple aperture imaging and remote sensing, and she's an Associate Fellow of the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. She's Chair of the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics Corporate Member Committee for Aviation and Aeronautics. She serves on the advisory board for India's Innovation Lab and on advisory boards for Penn State University, Enterprise Architecture, University of Texas, Pan America Engineering, University of Texas, El Paso Engineering, and Georgia Tech Aerospace Engineering. She's a member of the Society of Women Engineers, Women in Aerospace, and the IEEE. Dr. Byrne earned 2 Bachelor of Science degrees from University of Dallas, one in biochemistry and another in mathematics. She received a Master of Science degree in electrical engineering from Temple and a Doctor of Philosophy degree in systems engineering from GW in 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. Jennifer Byrne to the GW Engineering Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Dean Darling. And I just want to say thank you. I'm so honored to be here today, and I couldn't be here today without my family, all of whom are now at this table with me. My mom and dad, who really supported me. My sisters and brother, who helped me work through adversity, or actually gave me adversity to work through. And Dr. Johnson, who is our Lockheed Martin's Chief Technology Officer and Senior Vice President of Engineering Technology and Operations, who has been a wonderful mentor and the best boss ever. And I got to give a big thank you to him. But the reason I'm really so honored to be here today is because of some of the folks I had the opportunity to meet on the way in. Abby Gillen, I know you're out there somewhere. You're the ones who inspire me. You young women now getting into engineering and applied sciences because of GW. That is our future, and all of the folks who are interested in STEM careers. George Washington University has some wonderful programs. I was almost afraid to see my dissertation advisor here tonight, Dr. Mizuki. And I don't know, I'm looking out there, has everybody had a class with Dr. Mizuki? It's a little scary, little frightening. So I was kind of happy to not to see him, because I was afraid to try to answer any of those questions, but such a legacy, and so honored to be part of the GW Hall of Fame. Thank you all so much.
This is being recorded, so we'll send Tom Mizuki the video later. And if I put a plug in for C's and Women in Engineering, our undergraduate program, all disciplines, is now 38% women students, which is twice the national average for engineering schools. So let's hear it. Mr. Pradman Kaul, please come forward. Election to the National Academy of Engineers is one of the highest professional honors accorded to an engineer in our country. So any individual elected to this elite group can justifiably be said to be among the best of his profession. And this happens to be the case with Mr. Pradman Kaul, who was elected to the National Academy in 2004 for his leadership in the development of satellite communications networks. Those of you who know me know I like quantitative backup for things that I say. In the United States, there are around 2 million practicing engineers. The National Academy of Engineering has 2,000 members. So think about that. Mr. Kaul is president and CEO of Hughes Communications Incorporated, the world's leading supplier of broadband satellite services and network solutions using interactive VSAT, that's very small aperture terminal products. Hughes, by the way, invented the commercial VSAT, which was critical to the commercialization of satellite technology, and ultimately to satellite internet access services and satellite TV. Hughes has annual revenues of about $1.3 billion and provides network products and services to the consumer, enterprise, and mobile satellite market segments. In addition to being elected to the National Academy of Engineering, Mr. Kaul has received a number of other awards and honors over the course of his career. In 1999, University of California at Berkeley selected him as a distinguished engineering alumnus. and in 2005, GW named him a distinguished alumnus. Also in 2005, he was awarded the IEEE Third Millennium Medal. And in 2009, he was inducted into the Society of Satellite Professionals International Hall of Fame. And most recently, he was honored by the Arthur C. Clarke Foundation with the 2012 Innovator Award. Mr. Cole received his Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical Engineering from GW in 1967, and from here went on to the University of California, Berkeley, where he received his Master's degree in Electrical Engineering in 1968. He holds numerous patents and has published articles and papers on a variety of technical topics concerning satellite communications. He's also, I'm proud to say, an emeritus member of our own National Advisory Council. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Mr. Pradman Kaul to the GW Engineering Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much, Dean Darling. And I'd like to thank everybody at GW and CEAS who had anything to do with this selection. I'd also like to thank my family, some of them are here. They've been a key support pillar as we've gone through the different phases of my life. And thank you very much. It's really humbling to get this honor because I know it doesn't come easy, but it's really nice to be recognized. And we all go through life working hard and doing great things, but when you get recognized for it, it makes it worth a lot. And I think this is one of those recognitions that I truly treasure. I thought it might be interesting to share with you how I got associated with GW. Back in '63, I had just joined an engineering school in Bombay, India. And it was about a month of schoolwork when my dad got transferred to the International Monetary Fund in Washington, which is a neighbor of George Washington University. So we packed up and came to Washington. It was the first week of September, and I had no idea where I would go to school. Hadn't planned on coming to the United States, hadn't taken the SAT and any of the other requirements to get admitted. So I said, let me just walk into the admissions office at GW and say, here I am, will you admit me to the school? And they looked at me, they said, it's a little late, to come in this semester, but why don't you go see Dean Smith in the engineering school? So I said, okay. I walked into Dean Smith's office, told him what I had done, showed him my transcript. He said, all right, we'll admit you can start school next week. And that's how I got started with GW. There was no planning, nothing that I had thought would happen. And since then, it's been a great association. I value the years I spent at GW, value the friendships we created while I was there, and it's great to see it culminate in this honor today. Thank you very much.
Dr. Laird Moffat, please come forward. Anyone who's worked in research or in management, and Dr. Laird Moffat has done both, knows the importance of teamwork. And according to Terry Collins, who knows Dr. Moffat very well, this is one of his key strengths, teamwork. Dr. Moffat began his career at the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory, where he worked first as the Electronic Warfare Simulation Analysis Section Head, and later as the Integrated Warfare Technology Branch Head. As head of the Warfare Technology Branch, he supervised up to 50 scientists and engineers, and directed studies and developments for signal intercept systems, communications jammers, and command control communications and intelligence systems. He received multiple outstanding performance awards, including one for which NRL formally recognized his team for developing the methodology for evaluating the effectiveness of active electronic warfare systems. After 18 years with NRL, Dr. Moffett moved to Raytheon Corporation and led studies, system development, and proposal efforts in the areas of surveillance, signal intercepts, and signal vulnerability analysis. His work led to Raytheon winning several large contracts in each of those areas. In 1999, Dr. Moffett joined Envisioneering. There, he provides management consulting and technical expertise to the Electronic Warfare Branch and the Directed Energy Warfare Office at the Naval Surface Warfare Center in Dahlgren, Virginia. His expertise in systems analysis, systems engineering, and program management has been instrumental in his work as the Envisioneering Chief Scientist and Manager of Naval Surface Warfare Center operations. In 2007, he was named Chief Scientist, and he serves on the company's executive staff. Dr. Moffett earned a Bachelor of Science degree in electrical engineering from University of Missouri at Rolla in 1967, followed by a Master of Science in electrical engineering from Michigan State in '68. He studied for his doctoral degree here at SEAS and received a Doctor of Science degree in electrical engineering in 1976. Dr. Moffett is a member of several professional and academic societies, including the Directed Energy Professional Society, Eta Kappa Nu, Tau Beta Pi, and Phi Kappa Phi. He's also spent 6 years volunteering as a Scoutmaster for the Boy Scouts of America, which he says is one of his joys. Dr. Moffett, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. Laird Moffett to the GW Engineering Hall of Fame.
Thank you for that introduction. I certainly appreciate it. It was very nice. I'm going to tell a few stories. First one, when I was coming home from college in the winter, and my dad said, son, could you help me out? I need this hole filled with dirt. And he said, okay, I'll give you $20 and the tools to do it. So I said, oh, this is great. $20, and all I got to do is fill a hole with dirt. I know the pile of dirt is right next to the hole. So I called my friend Terry and said, okay, let's go make some quick cash. So we hopped in the car, went down to where the hole was, and got there. Clunk. Shovel wouldn't move that frozen dirt. It was one of those things where you found out that it's not as good as you thought it was when you began. But the real key is to learn from that job that I accepted to do. I didn't look ahead to see what pitfalls I could come into, i.e. what risks you might run into in various jobs that you have. And one of the things you do have to pay attention to as an engineer, project engineer, is the risk that you have. And that taught me about risks. Another thing that happened to me was when I was with Engineering Research Associates, which was purchased by E-System and by Raytheon. I had obtained funding for a small business innovative research program and was able to demonstrate that it was going to work. Then I went to a government lab and presented my idea. They said, this idea is great. We really like it. The next thing that happened, about several months later, I found out that that government lab had sold it, got funding from themselves, hired another company to implement that. And what that taught me was you really have to pay attention to your own intellectual property. That's something I gave away, and I gave the company's intellectual property away. And I've always felt badly about that, except that they did use my algorithm, the system that's fielded. I've been very fortunate to have 3 very good professors that I'd worked with while I was at GW. One was Dr. Abdallah, who was my major professor. Another one, Dr. Arnold Meltzer, and I believe he's been inducted into the Hall of Fame. And Dr. Meltzer taught me that don't worry about the bits and bytes. You have to look from the top down when you're engineering a system to make sure that the system as a whole will meet the requirements. The third one was Ray Pickholz. Ray Pickholz, through his stinky exams, would make sure that the student understood what was behind the equations and behind the formulas that were in the textbook. If you didn't understand what was behind them, then you weren't going to get the right answer on the exams. And so he really made me work to learn the communications theory. One of the things that I thought was very positive that the doctoral program at GW taught me was to make sure when you do something, you do it right the first time. Because I sure as heck didn't want to take another 4 days of 8-hour exams to pass it for the PhD. Right now I'm working in a project that's multi-lab, APL, MIT, NRL, and NSWC, and I'm very excited about the work. I'm with a consortium of people. Thank you very much for listening and attending this evening, and I'm very much looking forward to looking at that new building. Thank you.
And Professor Pickholz will be mentioned again later. Ms. Nayare Rasulpur, please come forward. Ms. Nayare Rasulpur believes that a person must be passionate about what she does to be successful at it. She says that this philosophy has kept her focused and committed to achieving both business and personal goals. She immigrated to the US from Iran as a student in 1976. She both studied and worked in those initial years, ultimately earning a Master of Science degree in Engineering Management from GW in 1990. During that time, she held technical and management positions with the Inter-American Development Bank and with GW. She also taught engineering management courses at GW and at the University of Maryland, and she has mentored small business owners through a mentorship program at the US Small Business Administration. In 1990, Ms. Rasulpur founded NSR Solutions Incorporated, a small business that provides a wide array of information technology and professional services to the federal and state governments and also the private sector. As president and chief executive officer of NSR Solutions, she's overseen the growth of her company from 1 employee in 1990 to 300 employees today. Some of the company's partners have included the GSA, the US Navy, Army, Air Force, U.S. Departments of Labor and Agriculture, Kelly Services, Chainlink Networking Solutions, and NavAir and NavC, among others. In 2013, Inc. magazine ranked NSR Solutions number 42 in its government services category for companies that provide consulting, training, software, and other services to government entities. NSR was the fastest growing private company that year in the state of Maryland. And in 2014, this year, NSR was ranked in the top 20% of the Inc. 5000 list of fast-growing, privately held government services companies in the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Ms. Nayare Rasulpur to the GW Engineering Hall of Fame.
It looked like I'm going to be here for long, but no, I'm just kidding. Good evening. I would like to start by thanking the organizer and the committee member for inviting me here and this evening, and including me with such a distinguished group of fellow Hall of Fame and inductees. This is really a true honor for me. And I have a short story, but not long. A few months ago, I had a call from a gentleman who introduced himself on my cell phone saying that this is Dean Darling, and I would like to give you a good news. And then, of course, I returned the call, and the phone wasn't working. And so I said, this is one of those advertising that so I tried. It didn't work. So a couple of days after, I had my assistant had a call from Mr. Alex DePaul, and saying that Dean Darling would like to have a conference call with you. Then I realized that this is a true story. I thank you so much for that, Dean Darling, that taking your time and personally called me and to give me the good news. I really appreciate for that one. And just my path, the GW as a student and business owner, it started a few years ago. Back, my sister, Nahid Khozaimeh, who's in the audience today, she was the one that she encouraged me and my husband to come to DC area. So my journey is started since because of her. So I thank you so much for that, Nahid. And the education and leadership skill I learned at GW, School of Engineering, were essential in allowing me to become a successful business owner today. I learned many lessons from the professors and the department's leadership that I still use today. I would like to thank Dr. Kimmel, Steve Kimmel, who was my professor during taking courses, and he encouraged me and he supported me. He gave a lot of mentorship to me, and during the study and also my business. And also I would like to thank Dr. Kimmel, which is I invite him to be here tonight, but unfortunately he moved from this area. He lives in Florida. And finally, I'd like to thank my family that they are in this table number 4, beside my sister that she is far away from that table. And they were supportive. They were patient with me, my son, my husband, and that's why I am here today, because of them. Thank you so much.
Somebody get a picture of that. Thank you. It's interesting how one lives and learns, because I didn't know until this evening that they were sisters. Our next inductee is Dr. Ian Waits, and he is the Dean of the School of Engineering and the Jeremy C. Hunsaker Professor of Aeronautics and Astronautics at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Unfortunately, Dr. Waits is not able to join us because tonight MIT is holding its Aeronautics and Astronautics Centennial Symposium, and as Dean of the Engineering School there, he's playing a big role in that, so he's unfortunately not able to join us. Although he can't join us, he graciously offered to record a message for us, which we'll play in just a moment. And in this video, he does a very nice job, I think, of sharing the outlines of his career. And since I can't say it better than he can, let me just simply share a few words about Dr. Waits, and then we'll listen to him. In 2012, CNBC interviewed him for its, quote, 5 minutes with a visionary segment, and they asked him what he considers to be his greatest success as an innovator. He replied, and I quote, "The role that I play as dean is to provide the right kind of environment to our students to our faculty and our staff here at MIT so they can both innovate while they are here, as well as learn all the skills and tools and attitudes that are needed to be great innovators and entrepreneurs when they leave MIT. He went on to say, "I hope my greatest contribution to entrepreneurship and innovation will be through the broader impact that I have across MIT rather than anything I've done in my own life." So let's hear from Dr. Waits, please.
Good evening, distinguished honorees, guests, and fellow alumni. My name is Ian Waits, and I'm a very proud graduate of the George Washington University. I received my master's degree in aeronautics from the George Washington University in 1988, and since that time I've retained a very strong fondness for the George Washington University. It's my great privilege and honor to be inducted into the GW Engineering Hall of Fame this evening. I was very much surprised by getting this honor, and I'm deeply humbled to be included in the list of other awardees. Unfortunately, tonight, I have another commitment that keeps me from being there at the event. We're celebrating our 100th anniversary of aerospace engineering at MIT. However, knowing where you're having your event, you can imagine that I'm deeply saddened by not being able to attend that as well. I came to GW in 1986 after receiving my degree in aerospace engineering from Penn State. I had applied to several different graduate programs and also several companies, but there was only one letter that I wanted to receive in the mail, and that was from GW and the Joint Institute for Advancement of Flight Sciences at NASA Langley Research Center. It was an entirely unique program that paired graduate students with top flight NASA researchers, and GW also had on-site at NASA some exceptional faculty members who took us through the usual difficult courses in the beginning of a graduate degree program. And it was there where I first learned what it meant to delve deeply into a subject, and also where I first was inspired to pursue a path in research and education. And it was in fact that experience that led me on to my PhD. In 1991, I started at MIT as a young faculty member and worked on fluid mechanics, combustion, and acoustics as they relate to the environmental performance of aircraft engines and aircraft design. And after about 10 years of working on those areas, I became increasingly convinced that I could have a larger impact by working with policymakers on making more informed rules and regulations than I could by working with the manufacturers on responding to those regulations. So I began to analyze the climate, air quality, and noise impacts of aviation and doing large systems analyses that have been used by the federal government and other agencies around the world to make better decisions about how to mitigate the impacts of aviation on the environment. Since 2011, I've served as Dean of the School of Engineering at MIT, and I'm truly honored to serve in this role. It's provided me with the broadest perspective on how education and research and engineering can change the world. And it was in fact the passion that was first catalyzed in my time at George Washington, which has continued to fuel me as I work in that role. Thank you very much for this honor. I'm deeply humbled to be included in this special tradition for the George Washington University School of Engineering and Applied Science. Thank you.
Our last inductee tonight to the GW Engineering Hall of Fame is Dr. Yaxin Zhang. Like Dr. Waits, Dr. Zhang unfortunately is not able to join us tonight. He lives in Beijing and wasn't able to clear his schedule so he could travel here for the celebration. However, he's also recorded an acceptance message, which we'll hear in just a moment. Dr. Zhang has had a phenomenally successful career. Simply put, he's a prodigy. After finishing elementary school and high school early, he was admitted to the University of Science and Technology of China at 12 years of age. Yes, you did hear that correctly. He was 12. when he went to undergraduate school. He received his Bachelor of Science and Master of Science degrees in electrical engineering in 1983 and 85, respectively. And at age 20, he was admitted to GW's doctoral program in electrical engineering. According to a recent interview with Dr. Zhang, which was printed in the South China Morning Post, he said, and I quote, "I chose to enter GW over Princeton and MIT," I'm sorry to say that, Steve Lohman, "so he could learn from Professor Raymond Pickholtz, a leading authority in wireless communication technology." And he subsequently received his doctoral degree here at GW in 1990. As many of you know, Ray Pickholtz retired from SEAS in 2004, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame here in 2010. In 1997, at age 31, Dr. Zhang became the youngest fellow of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. He joined Microsoft in 1999, and during his 15-year tenure there, he held various key positions, including Corporate Vice President of Mobile and Embedded Products, Chairman of Microsoft China, Managing Director of Microsoft Research Asia, and most recently, Corporate Vice President and Chairman of its Asia R&D Group, where he led Microsoft's overall research and development efforts in Asia-Pacific region. Currently, he serves as President of Baidu Corporation, a leading internet company based in Beijing, China. I could continue, but I think you have a pretty good idea of his talents and success. So why don't I let you hear directly from him now? So if we could run the video, please.
Good evening, Hall of Fame honorees, fellow alumni, and the distinguished guests. It is my distinct honor to be inducted into the 2014 Engineering Hall of Fame of the George Washington University. My name is Yaqin Zhang. I'm a proud alumni of the GW School of Engineering and Applied Science. When Dean Dowling first shared with me this wonderful news, I was thrilled and deeply honored to receive this special recognition. I truly regret not being able to attend this ceremony in person. Nevertheless, I am grateful to be able to accept this honor from Beijing, China. I could have never imagined a 20-year-old young man, after having spent 4 years at GW, and 20 plus years later, I will be honored in this way. Currently, I'm the president of Baidu Corporation, a leading internet company in China with over 40,000 people, in the mission to enrich people's life with internet technologies and innovations. Prior to joining Baidu, I worked for an American company called Microsoft for 15 years as a corporate vice president, leading Microsoft's research and development efforts in Asia. Over the years, not only had I had the opportunity to contribute to academia with some 500 publications and 60 patents, but also was I fortunate to work on some of the most interesting and profound products and projects that contribute to the advance of science and technology, including high-definition television, internet video, wireless communication, cloud computing, and the big data technologies. What I have achieved has a very close attachment and a link to my 4 years at the GW. When I came to the States in 1986, I was a 20-year-old young man with little knowledge, little English, and of course, little money. $700 was all my asset. What I had was a big dream, a passion, and a hope. It was GW that gave me an opportunity to open up a new world, learn about new perspectives, and of course, provide with all the education, methodology, and tools for me to succeed in my career. In closing, I would like to thank President Knapp and Dean Dowling, as well as the entire School of Engineering and Applied Science for this special privilege. I want to particularly thank Professor Raymond Pickholz and Professor Murray Lowe, my doctorate dissertation advisors, for their teaching, mentorship, and advice. I'm of course deeply humbled to join this very select group of fellow alumni in the Hall of Fame. Thank you, and thank you very much. Good night.
Well, I don't know about you, but I think only one word really describes these 6 inductees this year, and that's inspirational. And what else can I say? Inspirational. This year, we're inaugurating a new award as part of this celebration. It's the Distinguished Industry Partner Award, and it recognizes a company that is playing an important role in supporting the school's growth and the school's transformation. It recognizes in its very name that we're engaged in a partnership and that both industry and academia benefit when we form strong partnerships. Tonight, we honor the commitment of our partner, Clark Construction Group, to engineering education at SEAS. Clark Construction Group, LLC, was established in 1906 as the George Hyman Construction Company and is now one of the nation's most experienced and most respected construction companies with major projects throughout the United States. We can look closer to home, though, in fact, right on our Foggy Bottom campus to see examples of Clark Construction Group projects. Of course, the project that's closest to my heart, and I think everybody's heart in this room, is the SEH, which we will move into in a matter of weeks now, about 9 weeks, and we are counting them, in case you didn't notice. The Science and Engineering Hall, or SEH as we call it, is the largest facility ever built by GW, and it's dedicated to research and innovation in engineering and computer science, in the sciences and in the life sciences, and in medicine and health. One of the benefits, by the way of its construction, was that our civil and environmental engineering students in particular, as well as many other students in the school, have literally watched the SEH rise from the ground, and they've been able to use it as a living laboratory to supplement their classroom learning. And that applies to me too. I've been really educated about construction by watching the whole and the building rise out of it. Clark has shown its dedication to strengthening the engineering community here at SEAS through several initiatives. In fact, as you know, we're also celebrating GW's Making History campaign this evening, and I'm delighted to mention that over the years, Clark has contributed to initiatives that fit into all 3 of the campaign's broad goals, which are enhancing academics, supporting students, and breaking new ground. In 1986, Mr. A. James Clark, chairman and CEO of Clark Enterprises and a GW trustee emeritus, established the first endowed professorship at SEAS, the A. James Clark Professor of Civil and Environmental Engineering. The professorship is currently held by Provost Stephen Lerman, who is also a professor in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. In 2011, Clark Construction Group established the Clark Construction Engineering Scholarship, which provides annual scholarships to students majoring in civil engineering. And earlier that same year, Mr. Clark established the Clark Engineering Scholars Program at SEAS. Since the program's inception in 2011, 30 students have been named Clark Engineering Scholars. They're chosen from amongst the school's top undergraduates and from top high school applicants, and they're given numerous leadership development opportunities that truly open many doors for them. But you don't need to take my word for it. In this very brief video, we're doing a lot of videos tonight, you can hear it from Miss Sarah Rood. Sarah is from the original class of Clark Engineering Scholars, and we spoke to her about the Clark Engineering Scholars Program just before she graduated this past May.
I'm Sarah Rude. I'm from Chagrin Falls, Ohio. I'm a graduating senior majoring in biomedical engineering. I'm grateful to Mr. Clark for funding the Clark Scholarship. Without the Clark Scholars Program, I really wouldn't know what I wanted to do. It exposed me to so many different types of engineering, and I got to meet so many engineering leaders. And I also got the opportunity to do things like internships and study abroad that I never would have been able to do without the extra support from the Clark Scholars Program. In the fall, I will be going to Dartmouth College. I am getting a master's in engineering management. And once I graduate from that, I hope to be involved in product development for a biomedical engineering firm.
Thank you, Sarah. As I mentioned earlier, both Seas and Clark benefit from our partnership. You clearly just heard how we benefit, but I'd like to think that we return the favor by providing young, talented engineers as interns and later employees to Clark Construction. A number of our students have served over the years in Clark's well-established internship program, and some of them have gone on to become employees. One of them is Molly Olson from the original class of Clark Engineering Scholars, and she also graduated last year. Molly is now employed by Clark and is here with us tonight. Molly, would you stand up, please, be recognized? Remain standing, because along with Molly are several of our current Clark Scholars. Would they please stand also? Take a round of applause. Now, let me invite to the stage the president of Clark Charitable Foundation, Ms. Courtney Pastrick, the president of Clark Enterprises, Mr. Larry Nussdorf, and group president of the Mid-Atlantic Region and Seas National Advisory Council member, Mr. Gregory Kalivas.
Well, thank you, Dean Doling. Hello, everybody. Well, I'll tell you, of the three of us, I'm the only GW graduate up here. So, and it is not, thank you. I'll tell you, it only made sense that Clark Construction has such a close partnership with GW. We've been here for, since 1906. GW's been here forever. We're both fixtures in the Washington area, and it only makes sense. We've had a privilege over the years to build some spectacular projects, going, all the way back to, the 1980s. And as you walk around the campus, you see our projects, including the one we've had the privilege of constructing and finishing later this year. But the most important thing that we enjoy, that I personally enjoy through the Clark Scholarship Program, is being involved with the students. It's brought me back to the university, and I've been away for a while, in my career, and it's just wonderful to get back involved in the university, and it's a wonderful place. So thank you very much. Thank you for the honor.
So thank you again, Clark Construction Group, and congratulations on this well-deserved award. Finally tonight, I'd like to invite GW Provost Stephen Lerman up to the stage for a moment to make a few remarks about tonight's Hall of Fame ceremony and GW's Making History campaign. Steve?
Well, it's a delight to be here and to join you and to join us all in honoring these incredibly accomplished engineers who have been educated at GW, who've gone on to do these incredible things. Educated as an engineer, I've always believed that engineering provides an incredible foundation for doing great things in society. The discipline of thinking systemically, of looking for solutions, of applying science to create products and services that improve the lives of humankind is itself a noble profession. But what we've seen from these inductees is those same skills translate and transfer into leadership, into creating companies that create value, that employ others, that generate economic benefits very broadly in the communities in which they develop these companies, and continue to provide a stream of products and services that everyone in society benefits from. The other thing that you can draw from these videos is you never know where a good education leads. That as educators, we basically take in students. They vary in their abilities, in their passions, in their interests. We help link them to what excites them the most. We provide them a fantastic foundation here in C's at GW, and they go off to do amazing things. And I think when we hear the stories of what, for example, the Clark Scholars do, that's a great example. I can promise you with virtual certainty, over the next 5, 10, and 20 years, the students who've benefited from things like the Clark Scholarships will do amazing things, and we'll all be the better for it. I want to congratulate all the inductees, of course, and Clark Construction as the industrial partner. I'd also want to, by the way, acknowledge the fact that we have among us some of our trustees, Terry Collins, Mark Hughes, and David Card, who are alumni trustees, and of course we have a lot of members of the Advisory Council. I'd also like to spend a few moments, and I'll show another video now in the same spirit, talk a little about what we're calling the Making History campaign. This is the moniker we're putting on a campaign to raise resources throughout all of the George Washington University to continue to support our students with fellowships and scholarships that enable them to go on and do these great things, to invest in the academic enterprise through funding new endowed professorships and other things that support the faculty in their research and teaching, and of course, to build the physical infrastructure, the buildings on campus that allow all the good places for all those good things to happen. All of these three areas, of course, are of great importance to us. The Making History campaign has an ambitious goal of raising $1 billion to support students, to support the academic enterprise, and support the campus. I'm pleased to say that we have now raised somewhat over $600 million in pledges and donations towards that ambitious goal. And many of your generosity has helped contribute to that, reaching that goal. But of course, the goal itself is not a compelling case. What is the compelling case is what we can do with those resources and why an educational institution with a great history of GW, fantastic students, a passionate, inspiring faculty, what those resources can translate into in educating the next generation, in creating new knowledge, and of course, serving our country, our region, and the world. And that's really why GW exists. It's what we do as a university. A lot of that heritage of service derives, of course, from our namesake, George Washington. You may have noticed this odd-looking flag, which, yeah, that's good, pull it out. It doesn't actually belong to any country or any city or any state. It was it's a replica, of course, of the battle flag that George Washington, the commander-in-chief, used in the Revolutionary War. And it was that flag, which is said to be designed by actually George Washington himself, that he carried through all the battles of the Revolutionary War. And we sort of adopted it as the flag and symbol for the Making History campaign. You'll see many people wearing pins. Today I'm not wearing my flag pin, I'm wearing my GW pin, but I noticed several people at my table. I think BJ Davison's got one on. We're trying to use the flag as a symbol of our campaign to build on the legacy of George Washington, raise the resources needed to continue to make history here in our nation's capital. So with that, let me all thank you, of course, for being here. And what I'd like to do is show you a short video that lays out some of the ideas of the campaign, our ambitions, and really why it is we think this is so important at this moment in the great history of the George Washington University. So again, thank you, and since I won't get to talk to you after the video, drive home safely and continue your affiliation with GW.
Thank you, Steve. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our 2014 GW Engineering Hall of Fame induction and awards ceremony. Thank you all for participating tonight and for your support of SEAS. I can't overemphasize how important your involvement is in building our school, in creating its traditions and building its reputation. In particular, I'd like to thank all the special guests of our inductees for coming this evening, and I'd like to thank the Clark Construction Group guests for being here this evening. I'd also like to thank our SEAS and GW development staff who worked very hard to organize this evening's celebration. And lastly, let me thank you, the inductees, for the honor and the recognition you bring to our school. By your example, you help building the SEAS history that future classes of SEAS students will inherit, be challenged by, and they will actually use as a measure of their own success. Thank you. I'd like to ask the inductees to remain, or not to remain on stage, but to come up on stage so we can get a group photo. And other years' inductees, prior years' inductees, if you're here, please sort of wait in the wings until we get the photographs of today's inductees, and then we'll take a group photograph of everybody. So if this was a faculty meeting, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. I believe I heard a motion to adjourn, so we are adjourned. So as the Provost said, safe travels, and thank you for coming this evening. Thank you very much.